We are continuing to follow all angles of this story. President Trump's immigration order effectively barring 134 million people from entering the US. And those living in countries under the sweeping ban are reacting. We heard from some people in Sudan and Iran.
Sudan is still on the United States list of countries who support terrorism, and this is a characteristic of our relationship with the United States. It should remove Sudan from the terrorism list. The 6 countries included in Trump's decree, including Sudan, do not support terrorism. This is hostile towards Islam and towards Sudan.
I think with this decision, interaction between nations will be compromised and the U.S. will be secluded. This racist act will have the opposite effect and have a negative impact on the U.S.
Well, as we just heard from people in Sudan and Iran reacting to Donald Trump's order, Iran's government has also responded, saying it's going to ban Americans from entering their country. Our Nick Payton-Walsh is tracking the reaction across the globe. And Nick, the ramifications are huge. Businessmen, athletes, families are all in limbo and effectively stranded. And the Iran's government not mincing its words, calling the move an insult.
And also, quote, a gift to extremists. Now, obviously, that reciprocal decision by Iran that we've just seen in the last hour or so may well be replicated by other countries in that list of 7. And, of course, that will deteriorate, if not permanently disable the relationship between the United States and many of those nationals. Now, the broadest issue moving forwards here is the perception in this region about what this means for the new White House's vision of potentially the Muslim world. I should point out that while Iran's statement refers to this as, quote, a decision to restrict travel for Muslims, it's 7 predominantly Muslim countries, not all predominantly Muslim countries, that are affected by this travel ban, but there'll be others here who look at the logic of those 7 countries chosen and question it. Donald Trump cited 9/11, the attacks on the World Trade Center back in 2001, as being part of the rationale behind this move. While the predominance of attackers in that were from Saudi Arabia, that's unaffected by this particular travel ban here. Afghanistan, Pakistan, 2 countries with lengthy associations with terror too, one of which from bin Laden hailed or hid in at one point, and one where he was discovered. They're not impacted either as well. So a lot of questions to be asked about how quite these 7 countries were arrived upon, and whether or not this, what some might see, relatively simple solution to a very complex problem will actually impact the United States' ability to fight terrorism too. And you have to bear in mind, Linda, in so many of the countries where the US is trying to track down extremists, they're reliant upon local help to do that. They're reliant upon Iraqis to do the fighting on the ground, where the US may have drones in the sky. A lot of times too in Syria they've been trying to get more moderate rebels on their side as well to fight against extremists there too. So a broad ban against all Syrian refugees indefinitely, which this order also has, will certainly impact the US's ability to influence that conflict as well. And we've just seen, frankly, the level of chaos that this initial executive order has sown amongst Middle Eastern airports. In Oman, for example, one official in Jordan saying, we've not really had any instructions to change our pattern of behaviour at this point. In Cairo, US-bound travellers being returned back towards Egypt. I think really a sense of fear as to what this means moving ahead for many ordinary residents of the Middle East who have relatives in the United States, who treat the US as a beacon of hope, potentially they'd like to travel to in order to get a sense of where they'd like their lives to be. Well, that era is certainly under question, if not for the next 90 days, if not longer, certainly over, Linda.
All right, Nick Payton-Walsh staying across it all for us in Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining us.